Hello students, I Palla Darbari welcome you all in my YouTube channel Palla Darbari Classes. Today in this video we will discuss globalization policy of India. Dear viewers, I have already made videos on chapter 1 and chapter 2. Please watch those videos again and again so that the concept will be clear and you can score very good marks. If you like this video, please press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe this channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that whenever I upload the new video you get the notification. Let's discuss the globalization policy of India. Listen, globalization can be defined as interconnecting the domestic economy with the world economy. The definition of globalization, we are having three terms. One is increasing openness, second is growing economic independence, and the third one is promoting economic integration in the world economy. We can see over here, globalization can be defined as a process associated with increasing openness. With the globalization, the openness increase. How the openness is increasing? Because our economy is interconnected with other economies of the world. Second is growing economic independence. Government intervention is reducing. Now the economy is free to take the decision on the basis of market forces. Third is promoting economic integration in the world economy. This economy is integrated, joined with the world economy. So globalization can be defined as a process associated with increasing openness, growing economic independence, and promoting economic integration in the world economy. Globalization was the third step under the new economic policy reforms 1991. It is the extension of liberalization and privatization policies. For the globalization, country has to frame some strategies, some steps the country has to follow. Let us discuss all these steps which the country followed for the globalization. The first is encouragement of foreign capital investment. Second, partial convertibility of rupee. Third, removal of barriers. Fourth, facilitation of international trade. Let us discuss all these steps in detail. The first is encouragement of foreign capital investment. For the globalization, country has to frame the policies in such a way that more and more foreign capital should come in the country. So it is being decided that the equity limit should be increased to 100%. Earlier it was 40%. Second is FDI should be increased to 100% in higher priority industries. FDI means foreign direct investment. Foreign capital investment up to 100% was allowed in the export houses. Industries in the special economic zones were allowed infrastructure facilities. That is being done for the promotion of exports. FAMA was introduced to attract foreign investments. Listen, earlier we were having FARA, that is Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. It was replaced by FAMA, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act, so that foreign investment should be attracted in the country. The next step is partial convertibility of rupee. Under this reform, partial convertibility of the rupee was allowed. Listen, the partial convertibility means allowing the purchase and the sale of foreign currency at the market determined price. This partial convertibility will be used for import and export, remittance to the family, interest and dividend payments, etc. That was not applicable for capital transaction. The third step was removal of barriers. With the globalization, various barriers on trade such as tariff on import and export, custom duties and quotas, etc. were reduced. This was done in consideration with the WTO recommendation. Fourth step was facilitation of international trade. With the formation of WTO, that is World Trade Organization, the trade in goods as well as services was encouraged. All the restrictions which were earlier imposed on trade were removed except for some specific goods. Open competition was encouraged in the trade market. This is basically is being done for the promotion of globalization. Outsourcing refers to a system of hiring services from foreign countries to penetrate the local market. The services that are outsourced are legal, IT, security, etc. Nowadays, India is emerged as a favorite destination for outsourcing industries. In a very simple word, we can say that hiring the services from the foreign country is called outsourcing. India is emerged as an important sport for outsourcing. Let us see why and how the India is emerged as an important spot for outsourcing. The first is easy availability of cheap labor. Listen, the wage rate is very low in India. The very qualified labor are available at a very low price in India, which was not possible in the developed countries. So all the developed countries are looking India for outsourcing. The second is a high reasonable degree of skills. Indians are technically very sound. So the foreign countries has to spend little money for the training programs, which was not possible in other countries. The next is international worthiness. In the international market, Indian people is considered as a honest and hardworking people. So we are having a reputation. The next is stable political environment. Here the every government complete their tenures. The government is very stable. So the MNCs feel very comfortable to invest the money in our country. The second is favorable government policies. Whatever the policies the government frame, it is always for the beneficial of MNCs, like tax holidays, easy tax policies, etc. All these policies enables the MNCs to grow and expand the business in our country. Next is lack of competitors. In our country, MNCs do not face tough competition with the domestic industries. This enables them to enjoy a monopoly status, which was not possible in other countries. A reasonable degree of infrastructure investment. Indian government has invested heavily in the past 2 decades in the infrastructure sector. MNCs find very good infrastructure, so they are happy in investing the money, which was not possible in other country. Because of this infrastructure, the efficiencies increases and the cost of the product start falling down. So it is good for them. The next is cheap and abundant availability of the raw material. India is well enriched in natural resources. This ensures cheap availability of raw material and undisturbed supply of raw material, which was not possible in other countries. Let us see the benefits of outsourcing in India. The first benefit is employment. Second is exchange of technical know-how. Third is international worthiness. Fourth is encourages other sectors. Fifth is contributes to human capital formation. Sixth is better standard of living and eradication of poverty. Seventh is greater infrastructure investment. Let us discuss all these benefits one by one. The first benefit is employment. For the developing countries like India, employment generation is important objectives. Outsourcing creates the employment opportunities, and that is good for the developed countries like India. It leads to the generation of newer and higher paying jobs. The next is exchange of technical know-how. Outsourcing enables the exchange of ideas and technical know-how of sophisticated and advanced technologies, which is beneficial for the development of the country. International worthiness. Outsourcing to India also increases India's international worthiness and credibility. Encourages other sectors. Outsourcing not only benefit the service sector, but also affect other related sectors such as industrial and agriculture sector. Contributes to human capital formation. Outsourcing helps in the development and the formation of human capital by training and imparting them with advanced skills and thereby increasing their future scope and suitability for higher ranked jobs. The next is better standard of living and eradication of poverty. By creating more and more higher paying job, outsourcing improves the standard and the quality of living of the people. Next is greater infrastructure investment. Outsourcing to India requires better quality infrastructure. This leads to the modernization of the economy. Let us discuss the positive impact of globalization. Globalization helps in the advancement of the country. Second is globalization increases the market. Globalization helps in the technological updation. Globalization increases the employment opportunities by increasing the size of the industries in a country. Let us discuss the negative impact of globalization. It is the strategy for the developed countries to expand their market. In the developed countries, mostly because of the globalization, the developed nations are mostly benefited because the developed nation will find the market where they can sell their product. Developing countries are unable to earn much benefit by it. The second is it has widened the economic disparities among nations and people. Next is it compromised the welfare and identity of the people belonging to poor countries. Let us discuss the achievements of reforms. The first one is increase in the growth rate of the economy, structural changes, increase in FDI and foreign exchange reserve, promotion of exports, control on inflation, control on fiscal deficit. Let us discuss all these achievements. The first one is increase in the growth rate of the economy. The growth of an economy is measured by the GDP, that is gross domestic product. There has been an increase in overall growth rate during the reform period. It increased from 5.2 to 8%. Second is structural changes. Structural change refers to a shift from one sector to another sector. During the reform, it was noticed that the growth rate of 8% is mainly because of the growth of service sector, that is tertiary sector. The third reform is increase in FDI and foreign exchange reserve. Before 1991, depletion of foreign exchange reserve was one of the major reasons to introduce LPG reforms. In the post-reform period, FDI and FII have increased from the 1 million US dollar to 420 billion US dollar. That's achievement. Promotion of exports. New economic policies has a great stimulation to overall production of goods and services. India is now seen as a successful exporter of auto parts, engineering goods, IT, software, etc. Control on inflation. Due to LPG, inflation is brought under control. The annual rate of inflation reduced from 16.7% to 7%. Control on fiscal deficit. It reduces from 8.5% to 4%, and government is planning to reduce it to 3.3%. Let us discuss the limitations of economic reforms. The first limitation is the contradiction between the growth and employment, adverse effect on agriculture. Third is low level of industrial growth. Fourth is ineffectiveness of fiscal policy. Then disinvestment. Then increase in inequalities. Let us discuss the limitations of economic reforms in detail. The first is contradiction between growth and employment. Though the GDP growth rate has increased in the reform period, yet the reform lead to growth has not generated sufficient employment opportunities in the country. Unemployment is the same. The unemployment was increasing. Let us see what was the reason behind it. The first reason is the public sector started retrenchment of workers because of their low performance and overstaffing. Private sector terminated the employees. Why? Because they opted the modernization and technological advancement. The next limitation is adverse effect on agriculture. Reforms has not been able to benefit agriculture. It is because public investment in agriculture infrastructure like irrigation, power, etc. has been reduced in the reform period. Removal of fertilizer subsidy increased the cost of production, and this badly affected the small and the marginal farmers. Indian farmers has to face increased international competition. Why? Because of new economic policy. There was more focus on the production of cash crops instead of food crops. This increased the prices of food grains. The third limitation is low level of industrial growth. Industrial growth has also recorded a slowdown because of decreased demand of industrial product due to various reasons such as cheap import, inadequate investment, etc. Due to globalization, cheaper imports replace the demand for domestic goods. The infrastructure facilities have remained inadequate due to lack of investment. The next limitation is ineffectiveness of fiscal policy. Economic reforms have imposed limits on the growth of public expenditure, especially on social sector. Tax incentives were provided to foreign investors to attract foreign investment. It reduces the scope for raising tax revenues. Tariff reduction also reduces the scope of generating revenues through custom duties. The next limitation is disinvestment. Disinvestment initiated by government policies were not of much success. Why? Because assets of the public sector's undertaking were undervalued and sold to the private sector. This created a substantial loss to the government. Proceeds from the disinvestment were used to set off the shortage of government revenues rather than using it for the development of the country. The next limitation is increase in inequalities. Market driven globalization has widened the economic disparity among nations and people. Economic reforms increase the income quality compensation of only high income groups. Thus, the growth has been concentrated only in some selected areas rather than vital sectors such as agriculture and industry. That's all we have in this video. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.